The following is a presentation of the Phired Up Sports Media Network.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Pesky Report. This is episode number 217, brought to you by Phired Up Sports Media. My name is Brad Chandler. With me today, I have Mike from.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Giletto.
I didn't want to screw that up.
I get it a bunch.
So you're from Phired Up. We've had you on. I want to say last year, right?
Yes, I believe it was. I think it was early though, because I don't think the Phillies kind of went on their run. I think it was early in the season. Girardi still might have been the manager, I believe.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Holy
Seems like
crap.
a long time ago. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so weird that like Girardi was the manager.
I know.
But we're going to end up going over a few things. I want to talk about the 2022 season. We're definitely going to talk about Dave Dombrowski. We're going to talk some Harper. We're going to talk some Schwarber. We're also going to talk about the Noah Song situation. And then I want to get your opinion on what the Phillies are going to do in the NL East this year. So first and foremost, how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Super excited. It's weird. The Phillies are in a weird position, good position, coming off of the 2022 World Series. And I mean, anytime you come off a loss, it sucks. But listen, I don't think anybody expected them to be in that position. I'm excited for the 2023 season. Phillies made some big moves that I am really excited for.
You got some ex-Red Sox on your team.
Yes.
So we do have a connection here.
That is true. Because I did want to ask you about one. Kind of a minor, under-the-radar guy that he brought in, Matt Strahm. He was there one season, right? With the Red Sox last year?
Okay, he was there last year.
I haven't seen I think he's thrown 2 innings so far in spring, so I haven't seen much of him. I was curious what to kind of expect from him this season. I don't expect him to be a high-leverage guy. Probably it's just an innings eater, a long relief kind of guy. Is that kind of what I should expect?
Somewhat. I mean, Last year he was kind of up and down.
Okay.
He was one of our better relief pitchers. I mean, we had Diekman, who was just basically, you could call him Walkman. We ended up trading him to the Chicago White Sox, and we ended up getting Reese McGuire in that trade. But Strahm was one of our more he was like one of our better relief pitchers. I'd have to look into it. But sorry, Sox game's on. Someone just hit a homer. But I wouldn't say he's not a high leverage guy. He could be. There was talks about possibly making him the closer last year because they ended up moving Whitlock into the starting rotation. So I don't know. He's one of those guys where like you can go up and down with him. The news was that he wanted to see if he could be a starter, and I was shocked that he signed so quickly. And the Phillies are using him, probably going to end up using him out of the bullpen. So
yeah, absolutely.
He was talking about that though.
Yeah, I don't see him. I don't even think they're trying him as a starter. And he doesn't really even need to be a high leverage guy with this bullpen because you have Sir Anthony Dominguez and Alvarado, who both had big innings in the postseason in high leverage situations. You bring in another former Red Sox, Craig Kimbrell. So he's a high leverage guy.
Have you seen him pitch yet?
Has he pitched? That's a good question. I think he's pitched once.
How was he with the pitch clock? That's another thing we're gonna have to talk about.
Yeah. I think it's something that everybody obviously is going to have to get used to. I know Zach Wheeler, his first time with the pitch clock, got absolutely shelled. I think this is a conversation once May, June, July hits. I think everybody's going to forget the pitch clock exists. I think these guys are going to get used to it.
I do too. It's something that's been implemented in the minor leagues, and you don't really notice it as much. I don't think the rules were nearly as strict. I don't know if there was. I'm not 100% sure on this with the minor leagues, but I don't know about the disengagement, which is the one rule I absolutely hate.
You're talking about the batter with 8 seconds left have to be engaged.
Nope.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Nope. My problem is throwing over to first or the pitcher throwing. The fact that they only get 2, and if they throw over a third time and don't get them out, it's a balk.
Yeah.
I hate that because if you throw over the second time, the guy's going to steal. I mean, it's fun because
it is fun. I like that angle.
But is it really a stolen base? Like,
it's true.
Like I haven't complained so far. I haven't complained so much about the rule changes and whatnot. Like, I hated the ghost runner or the zombie runner or whatever when that was implemented. I thought that was ridiculous, but now it's like whatever.
It's part of the game now. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but you don't even think about it,
right? As long as they don't put that sort of stuff in the postseason, regular season games, 162 seasons. You don't want 15, 16, 17 inning games. I get it.
Do you think that they're going to implement I think that the rules are going to stick in the postseason.
And for the pitch clock, I believe yes, it will stick. I'm talking about the runner on second, like the fact that that's not in the postseason.
I don't think. I think that I don't know. I don't like any of it, honestly.
Yeah. I'm like, well. The issue that I have with the pitch, and not the issue with the pitch clock, but the issue with the people arguing that baseball needs to speed up. I don't think the length of the game was the issue. I think the action on the bases was the issue. It's home run, strikeout.
100%.
Taking away the shift and with the pickoff limit, I think will help the base. Just have more action in the game. I think that was more important than a game being 2.5 hours. If a game's 3.5 hours and there's a ton of action and it's really exciting, nobody cares about how long the game is because it was a great game.
See, I don't know how far you live away from Citizens Bank Park, but I live almost 2 hours away from Fenway Park. So if I drive 2 hours to Fenway Park, I've already drove like more than half the length of the game, So I'm going to drive there, drive home. There's 4 hours, and the game's only 2.5 hours.
Right, you're getting a beer and a half, 2 beers tops in that 2 hours. Like, you know what I mean? I live like 15, 20 minutes away, so it's a nice quick.
I do have to say that I went to Citizens Bank Park. I want to say, when was it? 2019.
Okay.
And I love the layout there. You got Citizens Bank Park. I don't know, what is it? Lincoln Field?
Lincoln Financial Field.
Lincoln Financial Field. And then you guys got Wells Fargo, literally right in walking distance.
I know.
It's basically like a complex right there.
Yep.
Fantastic.
It is a really nice setup. So I love Citizens Bank. I think it's a beautiful ballpark. And I don't know if you kind of keep an eye on it, but they've made the scoreboard out in left field even bigger. It's gigantic. Like this is the first year with it. It's humongous. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it this year. Obviously, no games have been played there yet.
Yep.
But I'm going to be paying attention to some more baseball outside of the Red Sox. I'm trying to actually get more involved with minor league.
Okay.
We have a guy on our podcast, Ed, who is huge into the minor league, and he's just literally been like nailing it down on us. He's like, hey, you got to watch this guy. You got to watch that guy. And we've had a few of the guys on our podcast, and it's like so fun because now they're starting to, like, in spring training, like, you have your, no offense to the people, but you have your casual fans who are like, who the hell is this guy, you know? And then we're like, oh my God, we've been watching this guy for like 2 years, 3 years. We knew he was going to be this good, And so it's real cool to see these guys. We've had guys come on our podcast, and we had one guy come on our podcast who was in the minor leagues. He was in AAA, and then literally like a week later, he ended up making his major league debut.
Oh wow!
So it's so fun to be able to talk to those guys. They're engaging. I'm just looking forward to being able to pay attention more to them than I have in my almost 40 years of being on this earth.
Right. Yeah,
So-
especially because the minor league. I mean, baseball is crazy with all the prospects and how long it takes these guys. Like you draft a guy, and you don't hear anything for like 8 years about them. You know what I mean?
Right. Like right now, we got a guy, Marcelo Myers, and everybody's like, "Bring him up. We need a shortstop. Bring him up.
Yeah.
We need a shortstop." It's like, hey, man, he's only gonna, he's got to develop. Wait until at least like Double A. Let him get let him get his feet wet.
Yeah, like so there's a podcast that is on our network, Bell Smash. They just had Mark Appel on their podcast a couple weeks ago, and he's a guy that was picked in the first round. I think it might have been the first overall by Houston. He came over in the Ken Giles trade, made his major league debut last season. I think he's like in 30, like something like that. Late 20s, early 30s, crazy making his MLB debut that late, being a top flight draft pick is kind of crazy.
All right, man. Let's get into this. Let's start talking some Phillies. We're going to end up talking a little bit of Phillies mixed in with some Red Sox as well, because like you said, we got a bunch of guys that are on your team that were ex-Red Sox. But let's talk about the 2022 season, buddy.
Yeah.
What a season for you guys, huh?
Seriously, yeah, it was
not. I gotta say, like, I don't think anybody really expected that the Phillies were going to be able to do what they did. Never mind make the postseason. But get to the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, we said it on our show when the season started. The 2022 season was a success if you get in the playoffs and at very minimum get the young guys or even get anybody on this roster playoff experience. That's what last year was about. They definitely got it. They went to the World Series, but it was about getting the young guys, Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm, getting those guys playoff experience, Rhys Hoskins and Aaron Nola, who obviously are a little older than the previous two, but never been in the playoffs before. Homegrown guys, get them in the playoffs and see where that takes you, and you can build off of that into the 2023 season. But yeah, it was just a crazy roller coaster ride. Like it starts. I think they started the year 22 and 29, something like that. Then Girardi gets whacked. They promote Rob Thompson, who's a bench coach, and they kind of just lit a fire under them. And then, so the surprising part was Bryce Harper goes down in the middle of the season for like about a month, and in spite of him going down, they played well. They went on an absolute tear. And then it's funny because I remember down the stretch, like late August, early September. They were on a skid. They were playing bad teams, and they were losing pretty bad. And we had a conversation on our show of like, are they going to have a September collapse that we were so used to in the previous two seasons under Girardi? It was very possible they were going to miss the playoffs, and obviously they sneak in, and the rest is kind of history. It really was a magical run because I don't think anybody really expected it. So like while losing does suck. Nobody is, I don't think, devastated because that's not necessarily. You always want to win, but it's not necessarily what last season was about.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like if the Phillies ended up winning the World Series, those light poles and whatnot are going to get greased.
Yeah.
I've seen the celebration from when you guys won the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, hopefully nobody eats horse shit again. We don't need that again.
That is the one thing.
It doesn't make sense.
Every Phillies fan I've ever met, I'm like, the only team whose fan base has ever eaten horse shit, literally, like got their face on YouTube and everywhere eating horse shit.
It's
are
passion.
The Phillies like that? What?
It's passion.
Like, what in the world made you eat horse shit? Like, I don't care.
Alcohol, lots of it.
I'm hoping that guy was not a Phillies fan, and that was literally like the bet. Like, dude, if they lose or if they win, you got to eat horse shit.
Yeah,
like,
he lost the bet. Yeah,
and then they fucking lost, and he's like, no.
That would make too much sense.
I remember seeing that. I was like, what? That was ridiculous. So you guys ended up getting some signings. A signing last year. You guys got Castellanos. Who else did you guys get last year?
Schwarber's first year.
Yep, Schwarber was with you. I remember I sent you a message with a sad emoji face, and you're like, "We'll take care of him."
Yeah, and we did 45 home runs. I mean, he was great.
Yeah, let me tell you, dude. We heard a lot about that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we let him go. We let him go. And 45. But how many RBIs did he have?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not even with his 45 home runs. I'm not sure he broke 100.
I think he was like at 80 home
Yeah.
runs last year. Let me.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. 94.
Wow. A lot of those had to be leadoff homers.
I also was one home run shy, 46.
Okay, whatever.
But yeah, that's and I'm sure we were kind of going that way. I don't know if you want to get into the 2023 season and beyond or whatever, but the Trey Turner signing,
Yeah.
that's why I think
we'll talk about that as
Yeah.
well. So you guys ended up getting those two.
Yep.
Who was your MVP for your team in 2022?
That's a good question.
And why was it not Bryce Harper?
MVP. Well, that's the weird thing is like Bryce Harper missed a decent amount of games and he was so good in the postseason, so it's hard not to say him. But that's kind of the easy answer. Who is the MVP? That's a good question. I don't know. That's the thing. Like when guys went down, there were other guys that pick them up. Like during the time while Harper was out during the season, Schwarber went crazy. Rhys Hoskins took his place. There was really just a all-around effort. I mean, I'll if I had to say one, it's Bryce Harper because I don't think they make it to the World Series without him.
Okay.
But yeah, isn't it crazy? Speaking of rule changes, that the Phillies got to the World Series last year basically because of two rule changes. That literally the only reason why the DH, because if they don't have a DH, Bryce Harper gets shut down for the season,
Right.
and two, the extra playoff team because they snuck in.
Yep.
So without those two rules, they don't get in.
Weird. Yep, you're right. You're right. And it was good for Philly.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So, you guys ended up making a couple of moves this season, this offseason. Sorry. You ended up getting Kimbrel. Was Kimbrel a trade last year?
No, they signed him in the offseason.
Okay.
Yep.
For some reason, I thought he was a trade. You guys got Strom. Who else did you end up getting? I know you guys traded for Clemens, which I'm a fan just because of the name.
Absolutely, and he was really the throne. He wasn't even the big piece in the trade. It was Gregory Soto. They were from the Tigers that they were interested in, and they got him because they were bolstering the bullpen. I talked about it a little earlier, the fact that like bullpen's been their Achilles heel. You go on and get Kimbrel, you get Strom, you get Soto, and Turner's the big one. Yep. Turner is gigantic for this lineup. Because we talked about Schwarber and how many leadoff home runs he had. I don't think Schwarber is a prototypical leadoff hitter. He's just not. They refused to take him out of that spot all season. But this way you could put Turner in that one spot, slide Schwarber down to 3 or 4. I think he's perfect in the 4 spot. Let him get those home runs with guys on base, and that 94 RBIs could turn into 120, 115, 120.
Who do you think is your best hitter?
Best hitter? That's such a loaded
Is
question.
it Bryce or is it Schwarber?
Best hitter, I would say Bryce.
So
Schwarber probably has more power than Bryce, though.
Do you think that they do? Because I'm starting to hear this more often than not that you usually have your best hitter hit second so they can get more at bats.
It depends how you define your best hitter. Like I think the most power on this team is Schwarber, but the best overall hitter probably goes to either Turner or Harper. I would think. Because Schwarber, as many home runs as he hits, that average is still low. I know average isn't necessarily an end all be all in today's game, but it might be now that the shift's gone. So I don't. It might be a little more important.
The shift is a big plus for lefties.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are screaming at the top of their lungs, oh, you should, if you're a Major League Baseball player and you can't just adjust your swing to where you're hitting it to the opposite field, you should be getting paid nearly as much as you are. I mean, I don't know a lot about the Phillies, before like 2022,
Right.
No offense. But I mean, like I'll say with David Ortiz, like he beat the shift by hitting bombs.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other argument is you hear people talk about the shift and the things you said, like, oh, go the other way, or, oh, lay a bunt, because that's exciting. People just laying bunts down the third base line. Like, I don't want to watch just people bunting all day.
I mean,
Like,
once in a blue moon.
Sure, a good, great, lay down, something like that, sure, but not just to beat a shift.
But now, I mean, come on, sometimes you could get a double out of a bunt.
You can, absolutely. Harper's done it a few times over the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Trey Turner and what you think he's going to do for this team. You said that you think he should be leadoff.
Yeah, I think he's a perfect leadoff hitter. He's got the speed, and with the bigger bases and with the pickoff limit like that, I mean, it even adds more value to him.
Who were you hearing rumblings about? Like, I heard, Trey Turner was in there. You had Xander Bogaerts. Was there anybody else that you guys were interested in, or was it just those two?
I think it was just those two. From the start, Trey Turner was my number one choice. And then I probably would have went Xander. Which, by the way, what's up with the Red Sox not paying people? What's going on? I mean, listen, thank God they paid Devers. You know what I mean?
I don't want to talk about it.
You can't pay Mookie. You can't pay Xander. What's going on?
The Mookie situation, a lot of people are pissed off about. I'm not thrilled about it, but it's like, I don't know if he really wanted to stay in Boston. I mean, with the guy, he wanted, whatever he wanted, they should have given him.
Yeah.
And they have the finances to do so.
Yeah.
But for what they wanted to do, they wanted to cut payroll or, get under the luxury tax and whatnot. And if they were going to pay a guy almost $400 million, they're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Mookie's elite. He's fantastic.
He's one of my favorite players to watch. I love Mookie.
I refuse to watch him on the Dodgers.
I get it.
I remember the first time I saw him playing in a Dodgers uniform, it was spring training for 2020. And I was just like, this is just, no, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, they traded Mookie. They got rid of David Price, half his contract. And, it is what it is. Yeah. It sucks. I loved Mookie. What in the fuck is going on out here? Like, how long does it take you to back your truck up? Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
No, the whole Mookie thing sucked. I mean, they basically disbanded the entire outfield from the 2018 World Series team. Benintendi, he was gone. Then he got traded, and then we got Franchi Cordero. There were some more pieces in that as well, but then, not for nothing, Jackie Bradley Jr. His bat was his bat's like cooked.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, great guy. I've always loved Jackie Bradley Jr. simply for the fact that my name's Bradley. So the first time I ever saw him, I was like, "You're my favorite player," just because your last name is Bradley. But it's like now it's getting to the point to where like you're not seeing these players anymore. I think the only players that we have from the 2018 World Series team, Sale, Devers, and I'm not even sure we have anybody else on the team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least they kept Devers and they paid him. He might be one of the most underrated players in the league. I love
Devers.
Yeah, no,
it's going to end up being like, I think the 11 years was great. I think the fact that they didn't put a no trade clause in there is great. But once he hits 10 years, there's a no trade. So, I mean, I think he has 4 years left. And so in 2027, it'll kick in because he'll be there. He would have been there for 10 years.
Right.
So, but enough of the Red Sox. I brought you on here to talk. No problem. I can actually sit here and do this all night, but I brought you on to talk about your team. I want to talk about your podcast and whatnot. So Trey Turner, he's going to lead off in your opinion.
Yeah, well, they said that he's going to lead off at the very least until Harper comes back, which we don't know when it will be. Their goal is the All-Star break. I think Bryce Harper is a freak in nature. His body's built different than yours or mine, and his body just heals quick. It wouldn't shock me at all if Bryce Harper's back by May.
You think that could happen?
Yeah, their goal is the All-Star break. That's probably more likely. It wouldn't shock me if it's May or June, just because he's always come back quick in his career. He surprisingly is going to be in spring training. He reports tomorrow to spring training, which is really, I don't know if he's going to take any. He probably won't take any live at bats. He'll probably just swing the bat a little bit, do some batting cage type stuff. But he's going to actually be in spring training, which I think is a surprise. And if he was going to be out till July, I don't know that he'd be down there. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk Noah Song. You guys grabbed Noah Song from the Red Sox in the Rule 5 draft. The Red Sox left him, unprotected, simply because he's been in the military, he's been serving, and there was no need for us to put him on the 40-man because the guy hadn't pitched in 3 years professionally.
Yeah.
So 2020, obviously, whatever. But he was in the military. So not protecting him, not being able to pitch and whatnot. It really didn't mean much. What were your thoughts when you guys picked him up? And then we'll talk about him being able to come to camp afterwards. But
yeah.
What were your thoughts on that?
Initially, when they drafted him in the Rule 5 draft, I was a little confused. I was like, "What's Dombrowski doing?" And then I realized, he drafted him, so I guess it kind of makes sense in that regard. So he knows his talent. I was just confused because, again, not pitching in 3 years. It's a risk. But I was more confused when they did it, to be honest with you, because also it's a team that was just in the World Series. It's very odd to get kind of a quote unquote project that if you keep he's forced to stay on your he has to make your team if you draft him out of Rule 5. So it was just bizarre. I think.
I believe there was a podcast called Sox Prospects, and they were talking about it as well. And they said that if he didn't get it, if he wasn't eligible to report to camp, I forgot the words that they used exactly, but they didn't need to put him on the 40-man roster.
Yeah, it was like a military exempt or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And then next year, he would have only had, I think it's 90 days. He would have to be on the 40-man or 26-man roster, which that's another thing that you guys are going to have to worry about, simply because he's able to report, and he didn't get discharged. I forgot the exact terminology that they were saying. I
don't know exactly the rules of military service and all that, but I believe he's in the reserve, so I think he still has some sort of obligation to the military. I don't know to what extent, but he has some sort of obligation.
So he has that obligation still, but he's able to join the camp. He's able to do, but that now puts you guys in a sticky situation, because what if this guy just sucks?
Well, and Dombrowski did talk about that. To be honest, I would be very surprised if he makes the roster. I'd be very surprised.
He's got it.
I believe they could send him on waivers, right? Isn't that how
it
works? You can send him on waivers, and if nobody gets him, the Red Sox do and can send him down, I believe.
Right, exactly. So if for some reason you guys don't leave him on the 40-man or the 20, but Dumbo, he's very thick-headed, he's hard-headed, and if it's something he wants, he's going to do it. Yeah,
but the guy hasn't pitched, and he's basically relearning how to pitch. We haven't even seen him in a single spring training game yet. He hasn't thrown a single pitch in spring training. He's just kind of doing bullpen sessions. And not only that, but with the additions they made, I don't see the room for him. I would be very surprised if they don't keep him around, because they bolstered the bullpen. You're a contending team. I don't know that you could wait around for a guy to hope a guy can get it together.
Okay, I'm trying to find the transaction here.
And it was really no risk. I mean, I think it cost him like $100,000, which to the Philadelphia Phillies is like a nickel, a quarter. You know?
So I think that's hilarious, simply because of the fact that a couple years ago, before you guys got Dombrowski, the owners were crying poor.
Yep, they sure were. And now they're going over like multiple levels of the luxury tax. Like, it's crazy.
All right. So the transaction, the claimed off waivers on December 7th. On the 25th of February, his roster status changed, but they didn't say what it was. But no, I honestly think that, credit to Sox prospects, Chris Hatfield and Ian. They were talking about, they think that if he goes on waivers, he's going to be picked up by, say,
the Orioles.
The Athletics, maybe the Orioles,
yeah,
the Athletics, some team that can hide him on the
totally.
on the roster, the Pirates, the Reds, something like that. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird to see that situation play out. I'm actually kind of interested in seeing how that goes. And
yeah, I mean, he only really has a couple weeks to turn heads, and the fact that he hasn't gotten into any action in spring training, it tells me that he's just not ready. And I just don't see them wasting a roster spot on a World Series contending team for a guy that you hope pans out.
Yeah, I mean, he only pitched, what was it? I think it was 7 innings, or he was in 7 games, and he pitched 17 innings. So, I mean, that was back in 2019.
Right.
And that was for the Lowell Spinners, and that team doesn't even exist anymore.
Right. Oh, there you go.
So, I mean, a lot has happened.
Yep.
So, we don't know if he was getting any work in military. I think he's in the Naval Academy. Am I correct?
I believe he was. I thought he was in the Air Force. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Maybe Navy. Yep, he was in the Navy.
Oh, wasn't he? Okay.
Yeah. In his Navy career, he set school records for career wins, 32, strikeouts with 428, and innings pitched with 334 and a third innings, and tied for the most shutouts in school history with 9.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, I just don't see it happen.
So who else did you guys end up getting that you're interested in? Who's raising eyebrows? I see you guys got Teo Walker.
Yeah, I was just about to bring him up. It's an interesting one because I didn't necessarily think that was really a big need. At least I think they gave him a 4-year deal. I don't know. It's something I'm curious. I think he's going to slide in as the number 3 or number 4. I'm not sure how they're going to kind of rank it. I mean, you obviously have Wheeler and Nola at the top, then either Ranger Suarez or Taijuan Walker. Then the 5th spot's kind of up in the air right now. But I think Walker's interesting. I'm sorry?
It'll go to no song.
Yeah, no, I doubt it. The 5th spot's probably, Phillies fans were hopeful it was going to be Andrew Painter, the young stud phenom pitcher, 19 years old.
Right.
But he has now elbow soreness, inflammation. I forget what they're calling it. That he got an MRI a few days ago, 3-4 days ago. We haven't heard anything. He's going for a second opinion. It doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it sounds like the same thing Bryce might have gone through.
Yeah, so and
that sucks even more for a pitcher because
totally. And he's 19 years old, so his long-term health is the most important thing. Get this guy a long career.
Just get the Tommy John done now, and then you'll come back. I mean, if anything, if Nathan Eovaldi has shown anything, it's that 2 Tommy John surgeries make you throw 100 miles per hour.
Verlander got it at like 39 years old. I mean, and he won a Cy Young after that.
Yeah, look at that team. Oh,
yeah,
that team is disgusting.
Yep.
And how do you feel about the Mets spending as much money as they did?
They're the Mets. Who cares? Like, I mean, you know what? They could go and play their cute little trumpets. You know.
Wow! Shots are fired.
They're the Mets. What are they
Yeah.
gonna do? They're gonna win 100 games and then they're gonna lose early in the playoffs. That's what the Mets do.
Wow. I mean, you got two of the best pitchers on their team too.
They do. And I mean, I know Scherzer isn't getting any younger, but they kind of were able to move on from DeGrom in a sense of like DeGrom has far more hard miles, I think, than Scherzer, where like DeGrom's arm is going to fall off any day now. I know Scherzer's had some back issues here and there, but nothing, I don't think to the extent of DeGrom, so maybe they got away from the DeGrom injury mess. I think DeGrom already is like not pitching. I think he's already hurt.
He isn't. Yeah, right. Who on your team in your minor league system, who are you most excited to see play a role with the 2023 Philadelphia Phillies?
Well, I'm sure, as you know, minor leagues isn't really Dombrowski's thing. So
I disagree, dude. I
do
disagree
you?
because
he hasn't done much to this.
I'm going to tell you right now. You've got Tristan Casas, you got Jaron Duran. Yep. You got these guys that are coming up now that were Dombrowski's guys.
Yeah, true.
So
yeah.
I mean, he's good with picking the right people. It's development with these people that we gotta be concerned about. But is there anybody that you're interested in that you want to see?
I mean, Andrew Painter was the big one, but now that he's down with the injury, it's not going to be him. But they have a couple good pitchers. I mean, Micah Bell, which I don't know if he's going to really see time this year. I think he's kind of more slated to be ready to pitch in 2024, but maybe halfway through the year if he's turning some heads. They also have Griff McGarry, who's another right-handed pitcher. They don't really have any fielders that I don't think is really going to turn heads, at least this season. They had Logan O'Hoppe, who looked like he was going to be a nice little piece, but they traded him to the Angels, and it was either the Syndergaard deal or the Brandon Marsh deal. They made two trades with the Angels on deadline day. I forget which deal is which, but traded for those guys. But he looked like he was going to be a nice little player. They traded him. They really don't have any fielders that I'm really super excited about coming up.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really just pitching. The pitching prospects are really nice down there.
So which pitcher? Yeah, I know you said Painter, but obviously
Micah Bell and Griff McGarry are the two. I think Micah Bell has probably the higher ceiling than McGarry, but I don't know if we're going to see him at all this year. There's a chance with Painter's injury, maybe they call up Abel or Bell, but I don't think he's making it out of camp.
Okay, he's not going to be on the starting.
No, I don't believe so.
All right,
I could see a September call up with him, but I don't see him making it because the Phillies team's just deep. They're really deep too. I don't think they're just.
Doesn't matter how deep you are. An injury happens, and
True, totally.
and all of a sudden now you need a guy to step up. So, never wish anybody to get injured, but it happens, man.
It does, totally.
So, what are your feelings with Dombrowski and how he's been handling this team since he's joined the organization?
He got them to the World Series, so he's good in my book. I think what we've seen from him is he finds, and heading into the offseason, he finds a weakness and tries to correct it. Like I talked about the bullpen the last couple years being really bad, and last year he goes out and tries to correct it by signing Brad Hand and Uris Familia. Now, they both didn't pan out, especially Familia, who was an absolute disaster, but at least he tried to fill that need, and he did it again this year with Kimbrel and the guys we named earlier. And then he sees a need, in the middle infielder, gets Trey Turner. So he sees a need, he attacks it, he's aggressive, which I really like, because it's just about now. It's about now. You have Bryce Harper, you have JT Realmuto, you have a great core of players. Now's the time for him to strike, and he does it. So I just like his aggressiveness.
I mean, he's super, super aggressive.
Yep.
It's always been if he sees a hole in the system or on the team, he's going to fill that hole.
Yep.
And that's what he did. He did that with Trey Turner. He did that with the Red Sox as well. There's like a mixed review of people who are like Team Dombrowski. You know, you got either yay, Dombrowski was great, or no, Dombrowski sucked. He was terrible. He traded away Moncada. He traded away this person, that person. It's like, yeah, but what did those people really do?
Right.
You know, like he traded a lot of our prospects at the time. Like Johan Moncada, he's playing with the White Sox, but I mean, you don't hear about him. Who do you hear more about? Do you hear about Moncada or do you hear about Rafael Devers?
Yeah, Devers.
He picked the right person to trade.
Yep.
You know,
100%.
It's, you know, I give a lot of crap to my friend Ryan Brady, who's on our podcast. He's a Dumbo fan through and through, and he doesn't see why, you know, we're not spending the money like he is. But
Right.
I'm with it. It is what it is. He got hired to do a job, and he did it, and he does it everywhere he goes.
Yep. And last offseason, if you asked me that question, I might have had a different answer. So the World Series run can kind of change a lot in my viewpoint of him, especially again going out and getting Trey Turner. Because I mean, listen, he finds a hole and he attacks it, which is it's all you can really ask for a GM, and especially when you have ownership that is willing to just write blank checks.
I still can't get over the fact that 4 years ago they were crying poor. You know, like that's mind-boggling. You know,
Yeah.
It's like you're not poor. Stop it.
Yeah,
like, I've seen your ballpark.
Right. Well, I think Bryce Harper changed a lot because I think he said that right before the year before they signed Harper, and then they signed Harper, and then he kind of talks, you know, with the owner John Middleton and said, "Listen, if I'm going to be here, we got to get pieces in here to win." Right. He was a big advocate of bringing guys in. I know he was him and Trey Turner obviously have a past in Washington, so he probably has something to do with that. He's been very vocal about getting people in here because we need to win.
Good. That's what you need. You need a guy who's going to basically the leader.
Yep. And this team's full of them. Like you have Harper, you have Schwarber, Castellanos, who I hope has a bounce back season. He really wasn't what we're used to seeing Nick Castellanos be last season. In the first season as a Philly, he kind of had a down year. I'm hoping he bounces back. But you have Zach Wheeler. I mean, you have a lot of JT Realmuto. You have a lot of leaders in this clubhouse.
Yeah, no, yeah, you do. You got a lot of names too.
Yep,
and that's good for you guys. Shocked to, you know, who was it that ended up signing with you guys that I was shocked? I was shocked with the Kimbrel signing. Yay and nay, because like, man, it's weird seeing him in a Phillies uniform.
Yep,
but it's Dombrowski. I mean, he wanted Kimbrel for the Red Sox, and that's what he ended up getting. It's
and he. I don't know what to expect from Kimbrel. I certainly don't expect his Boston Red Sox days because
I don't think they're going to end up using him as a closer anymore, right?
Well, that's the thing is Rob Thompson's thing is he doesn't have a closer, and that's kind of really around baseball in general. Like there really aren't like Mariano Rivera's don't exist anymore. Everyday closers are hard to come by. This is going to be a really like close by committee. You're gonna have Sir Anthony Dominguez, Jose Alvarado. Craig Kimbrel, I think, are your main three. Even Gregory Soto can come in high leverage situations. I think those four guys are going to kind of, depending on matchups and things like that, I think it's going to be a close by committee kind of thing.
I'm going to have to talk to my buddy Brady about that because he hates that.
Yeah. Well, it's
the
kind
Red
of around
Sox,
baseball nowadays.
The Red Sox got a closer.
Yeah.
We got Kenley Jansen, and he led the league last year in saves. So, I mean, it's not that they don't exist. It's that we're not creating them.
Yeah.
We're not letting our pitchers do so.
Well, it's the whole analytic argument is they play matchups and
that, but you can't really play matchups anymore.
I know.
You know, you've got a 3-batter minimum, and that's basically it. You know,
yeah, true. Yep.
So what are your expectations for the Phillies for 2023?
So, I mean, they were just in the World Series, so I feel like at the absolute minimum, you got to make the playoffs with this roster that Dombrowski's built, playoff or bust. Like, Obviously, it hurts having Harper miss a lot of the season. So that you're losing production there, but you gain that production with Trey Turner. I think they could be second in the division. I think they'll make the playoffs.
Second behind
the Braves.
You really don't like the Mets.
I don't like the Mets. No, I don't like the Mets.
I mean, I know why they're in the NL East and everything, but I mean, so aren't the Braves. But the Braves are always there.
Completely switching topics. Did you see this baseball writer that put out proposed divisions if the MLB expands to two more teams? Did you see this proposed division? No. It was getting rid of, I forget which writer did it. It might have been Baseball Today. Somebody did it, and it was they were getting rid of the two leagues, and the one division for the Northeast was Yankees, Red Sox, Phillies, Mets.
Red Sox, Yankees, Phillies, Mets.
That'd be an insane division.
No, thank you.
It'd be wacky. I'm all for
thank
it.
You. No, thank you. I'm all set. What are you? How do you feel about we talked a little bit about the rule changes, and I know that I asked you your expectations, but is it weird seeing pitchers not hit, or do you love it?
I like it. I like it a lot because in my opinion, I don't think you should just be giving free outs. That's essentially what the pitcher was. It was a bunt or an out. That was it. It was boring. It was boring to watch. Give me 9 batters for the pitcher to face. Even though this year we're gonna have trouble because Bryce Harper's out half a season, so we don't even know who's gonna be their DH until Harper comes back. I think it's gonna be Derek Hall, who kind of had a cup of coffee with the Phillies last season while Harper was out. I think it'll be him. He's got a little bit of pop, got a little power. So we'll see.
So what are your expectations? You said postseason.
Postseason at minimum. I think
let's get a record.
So I know their over under in the sports books is lower than it probably should be, but Harper being out probably has something to do with that. I'm gonna say 91 wins. That's my prediction.
91 wins.
91 wins. Yeah, and I think the Braves win probably around 100. Be the winner of the division. And the Mets will be around 88, 89. I hate them. I don't like the Mets. I'm sure as you could tell.
Is there a reason outside the fact that they're in the NL East?
No, they do the same thing every year. You know what I mean? They spend all this money and they have a good lineup, and their lineup is damn good. And they have the two great starters at the top of the rotation. I don't know. It's the Mets are gonna Met.
Mets are gonna Met. So we're going with 91-71. And do you think they make it? They go to the World Series? I know you want them to.
I was gonna say the fan in me says yeah, but I mean it's hard to do, right? The NL has some great teams in it. The Dodgers are always going to be there. The Braves are a tough out. The Padres,
the Padres are like team. The NL West version of the NL East Mets.
Yeah,
true. I don't care what anybody says. I think Preller was just snorting a bunch of coke, and he was like, "All right, let's go get this player."
Yep.
He's like, "We're going to drop 11 years on Xander Bogaerts until he's 41." Yep. All right, we're going to extend Manny Machado, give him 11 years.
And they still have Tatis, who's coming back after a month, I think? Something like that?
It's 20
weeks.
Games.
Okay, yeah. So, and they still have him coming back.
And then I believe they still got money on Darvish. So, yeah, it's...
Yep.
I don't think the Dodgers are going to be as good as everybody, as everybody thinks.
Well, I think their lineup is really good. The pitching is an issue. I mean, I know they have Walker, Buehler, but other than that, Clayton Kershaw's getting older. Who's in that rotation that scares teams? But speaking of former Dodgers, is Justin Turner okay? What the hell was that?
Oh wow, yeah,
that was nasty.
So I've got I want to say two things on this. First of all, Justin Turner, his wife actually tweeted something out yesterday. I think it was early evening, saying that he ended up getting 16 stitches. He's swollen. Nothing's broken.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess it was like some tissue structure or something like that.
That's a lot of blood.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
And I was at work, and we were talking about it in our chat and whatnot. And I was at work, and I was like, can someone send me this? Because I want to see what it was. Like, is it as bad as everybody said? And I saw it, and I was like, I don't want to see this
Yeah.
again.
Yep.
Like, it was terrible. I hope Justin Turner, he comes back and he's going to be able to help this team and whatnot, because he's a great guy. Always liked him. Always loved that little, like, the bat thing that he does with his jersey. He does the pine tar on his jersey or whatever.
And he plays hard too, which I really
like.
He's a really hard player. Yeah.
And he's supposed to be our a designated hitter. So with the fact that he's probably going to start the season, on the IL because of the situation.
Yep.
It's awesome to hear that he's doing well. On the other hand, I want to know how the pitcher feels. I want to make sure that he's okay, because mentally that's got to fuck you up.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Justin Turner, I know he got hit in the face, and I know, like, that sucks. Everything sucks about that too. And rightfully so, everybody's talking about Justin Turner, but I really want to know, like, has anybody, like, talked to, like, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't
not.
on purpose.
And usually you could tell in that situation immediately the pitcher's reaction if it was on purpose or not. Like, he genuinely felt bad when he realized that ball was going right for his head.
Yeah, it sucks. And it's like, I know there's a couple guys out there that have gotten a hit in the face before. You got Stanton, who's got hit in the face, and then
Bryce Harper did.
He did. And like,
I think it was last year. He got hit by, was it Snell? And then I think he faced Snell in the postseason. I think it was Snell.
But I mean, like, it's always like, if you get hit in the back or you get hit in the ass or whatever, that sucks. But it's like, okay, go take your base, But when you get hit in the fucking face, dude, like, there's two sides to it, and it's like, Justin Turner, absolutely 100% sucks. I'm happy that he's okay. He made a tweet. His wife made a tweet last night. He's doing okay. They're gonna, they said like a couple weeks possibly, until the swelling goes down. And, I just want to know what is up with the pitcher. Like, is he okay? Because, like I said, that's a mental thing. Like,
totally.
There's people that would probably quit playing baseball just because of that.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. We'll see what happens. Like, he's not posting pictures of it or whatever. Like, it was gross. It was gross.
Yeah.
A lot of blood.
Yes, there was.
Yeah, it was.
But happy to hear he's doing well. So
yeah,
that's good.
He's doing all right. I'm sure he's hurting, swollen and everything, but he'll be okay. He's a tough dude.
Oh, totally.
All right, so go ahead, plug your podcast, and where can everybody find you?
Yeah, appreciate that. So Phired Up Sports is our podcast. We cover the sports teams in Philadelphia: Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, Phillies. And if we're everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook at Phired Up Sports. We also have a website, phiredupsports.com. And you can find me for any of my dumb tweets and takes that I have at Mike_Gilletta.
Fired is spelled PH.
PH for Philadelphia, because we thought we were clever.
Man, you Philly fans are dumb.
Yeah, well, takes one to know one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're kind of stupid too. But Mike, I thank you so much for coming on and jumping on and talking some Phillies with me. Looking forward to talking to you probably later in the year, see how you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Maybe if you guys get into the playoffs and get to the World Series, we can have a Red Sox Phillies
that'd be fun.
Episode.
That'd be fun.
And we can talk the World Series together. Let's Red Sox Phillies, right?
Let's manifest that.
I will manifest if the Red Sox make it to the World Series. Holy shit! All right, Mike, I appreciate you so much coming on and joining me, talking to me. We got to do this more often, even if it's just like shooting the shit with each other through tweets and whatnot, or Twitter or whatever it is. Love chatting with you. got to do this a little more.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. We'll definitely do it again. We'll have to have you come on our show as well. A little more shit talk.
Yeah, I know you Philly fans don't hold back because
Nah,
I went to Citizens Bank Park. So before we go, I got a story for you.
Okay.
So I've been to Citizens Bank Park. I went in 2019, and I have been to Yankee Stadium for a Yankees Red Sox game. Right. So you would think that rivalry was just like everybody wants to kill each other.
Yeah.
I was almost going to get into a fight at Citizens Bank Park because I was yelling Mitchie Two Bags in 2019. In 2021 or 2022, when I went to Yankee Stadium for a Red Sox Yankees game, I felt like we were friends. I'm like, what is going on here? I thought I was going to die at Yankee Stadium, yet I'm going to die over here at Citizens Bank Park because this guy thinks that, he's like, fuck you.
Yeah,
you're not a Phillies fan.
Yeah, Philly fans are different. The funny story, one of the more famous ones is Eli Manning, obviously former quarterback of the Giants, was at a Giants Eagles game and turns around. I forget. I think he was walking off or walking in, and he turns around and sees an 8-year-old, and there's an 8-year-old just flipping in the double bird. he's like that's when I knew Philly was different.
Yep, that is different.
Yep.
All right, Mike. Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely, I appreciate you having me.